We play.
We fight.
We conquer.
Welcome to the Freak Show. I am your host, BUMPY-MCSQUIGUMS, and today I get to do something kind of cool, a little bit special. The latest from Ubisoft, formerly known as Gods and Monsters, is now known as Immortals Fenyx Rising. A big shout out and a thank you to Ubisoft for allowing me to attend their Ubisoft Forward event and get hands-on Immortals Fenyx Rising, and now I get to share it and showcase it to all of you, and you guys get to enjoy. I had a blast playing it. I got to play it for about 2.5 hours, and it's an open-world action RPG, but it's much more of a fantasy setting, a fantasy look. It leans into that versus the hyper-realism that a lot of their other games offer. So it's different, it looks different, very bright, very colorful, it plays really well. The game is kind of broken up into 3 parts. It's got a lot of traveling around the world, traversing terrain in various different ways. There is a large puzzle aspect to the game, as there are many challenges that you will undertake that are just puzzle-based. There are random puzzles out throughout the world, scattered all over the place. And of course, the combat will be the final thing that we look at, from fighting little minions to fighting like mini-bosses that control the little minions, to the big old giant bosses that you guys love to fight. They're all going to be there. Anyway, let's get in. As you can see right before you, we are taking flight. So, as I mentioned before, there are several different forms of travel, from flying to riding on horseback. There's some swimming involved, of course, running on land. And I'm just going to showcase a few different things here. I really did have a blast with the game. I had a lot of fun with it. So I'm going to let you guys decide whether this is something for you or not after you watch the video, but I did have a good time, and I don't know if that means anything to anyone, but there you have it. So from flight, we can't fly. I guess technically we're more gliding. So we're taking, flight, and we're just kind of gliding, but we're always going down a little bit unless we hit an updraft. So like right here, we're jumping, and we're flying along, and you'll see we have a little stamina bar on the left-hand side. And unfortunately, that does go down. Now, there are ways to replenish that, which I unfortunately did not realize until about now. Like, wait a minute, I can probably drink a potion. Will it let me do that in free fall? And if you are really high up and you do start to fall, as long as you don't put your wings away like I just did there, you will not plummet to the ground. You will slowly fall until you're there. Unfortunately, I did land in the water with no stamina, and I did drown, but it's okay. I had a second shot at it. I go over here, I hit the updraft, floated up, and now we're launching our way back over to this island. I am determined to get there, and I will not be denied. You can summon your mount anytime you're outside, it seems, but inside of like challenge rooms and things of that nature, it does not appear to be available to you. But don't worry, aside from riding and flying and swimming, you can also climb things. This is going to look very familiar. Of course, again, you have your stamina bar that you need to be mindful of. But you can traverse things vertically. Since you can't technically fly and only glide, this is one of the ways of doing that. So you got running, you have your horse, or whatever mount you decide to get. You have flying and all sorts of things like that. So really a lot of ways to get around the world. The world is huge. I only got to play a small part of the world, and I just had an absolute blast with it. And it was already overwhelming for the little bit of time that I did get a chance to play it. So, as you can see here, we have the world map popping on up, and there's just stuff everywhere, from various different points that you can go to like chests that you can collect, challenges you can do. There's some fast travel points, and you can just get anywhere and everywhere. And like I said, this is only a small part of the world that was unlocked and available to us while we were doing this. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited to see how the whole game plays out. Now, let's hop in here and see what the challenges bring. Okay, so it looks like we're going to be spawning 2 boxes, and there are 2 buttons that are over there that are going to essentially unlock the path forward. So we can pick up the boxes, and we can just chuck them based off the direction that we are facing, or we can charge throw it and have a kind of an indicator as to where it's going to land. And this is something that I struggled with for a little while. I really didn't make a lot of use of throwing rocks and things out in the world. I tried a few times, and never really came to fruition, but it's all good. Anyway, so we did that. We hopping over this thing, and we're going to run up to where it was, and we're on to our next puzzle, our next challenge, as it were. So we have a little thing there. It's pretty obvious what you're going to be utilizing. You're going to be utilizing your bow. And we're just a quick shot there, and it flips that and triggers the next steps up. Now there's a door that's locked and some windows that we can shoot through. So I am trying to figure out what I need to shoot. Looks like it's that thing right there. There's one. There's 2. My aim is impeccable as always with the controller. And I finally figured out that we're going to use our Artemis arrow, and we're going to launch it, and we control it after we launch it. And we kind of can move around objects and things of that nature. And there we have it. We made it past, and on up to the next challenge. This one, pretty easy. We have 2 buttons. We have a big old stone above. We're going to shoot that thing out right there. Down it falls. We're going to go throw those things on the buttons, and then we are going to move on and collect our prize. So you can carry stuff, you can drop it, you can throw it, you can do whatever with it. I believe these things do damage if you hit people with them. Again, I've never really managed to actually accomplish that. So we're going to run on up and get our prize. I believe it is going to be the Lightning of Zeus. And it's going to empower us, though I actually have no idea what to do with Lightning of Zeus. There's going to be full customization of your character. You're going to be able to change the look and appearance and all this stuff throughout the game and at the very beginning. But for us, we basically got launched into more of a mid to late game scenario with the character already locked in and all that stuff. So we had a lot of stuff to play around with. Here's another puzzle. It should look really familiar. You walk on up, you launch the ball, and yes, we are playing pinball, ladies and gentlemen. And I got to say, it was a little bit more challenging. I haven't played a pinball game in a long time, so it took me a while to get used to it. Also, you're not just, hitting a button here or there. You literally have to move your character back and forth to control the different paddles, as it were. And that did add a next level layer of a challenge. Now, I'm going to speed this up eventually, but probably on the next one. This was really cool. This was something that I was like, is there anything real neat that I can showcase? And they're like, hey, check this out. I'm like, oh, that is real cool. So you launch the ball in there, it burns the thing out, and then the next time you get the ball in there, you're golden. So essentially that's the way this works. The ball has to be on fire, too, because a little bit later here, it's not on fire when I launch it into one of these, and it doesn't do anything. So there we are. Success is ours. And here we are on the next pinball challenge. Get myself into position. The ball hath been launched, and it's about to go down. So I'm going to launch it. I didn't realize that there's paddles up top there until, like, right now. I'm like, wait a minute. There's paddles up there. I could have launched it from up there. That's not cool. I missed it. So I speed things up here. I totally missed. I think I moved off of the paddle, and then I realized, okay, so now we have 2 balls going. Only one's on fire, one's stuck. Now they're both stuck. Curses. Foiled again. Alright, so we're launching again. Both balls are out, and it's just going to be pretty straightforward. I have to break through all this chicanery, bouncing back and forth, launching them balls everywhere. Oh, we've freed a third ball. We launched the one that wasn't on fire up into the thing, which is unfortunate because we didn't get credit for that. And now we're just trying to get the balls down to the bottom so we can launch them in. There we go. First one in. We lost one of the balls. We still got 2 going. But with that, it makes it, and we are victorious. Pretty cool puzzle. I really, really, really enjoyed that one. It was a lot of fun. Again, a little bit weird to do because you're not just hitting paddles at the time. You actually have to go back and forth and hit the different switches. But it was cool. It was a very nice addition to the puzzle mythos, if you will, that was thrown into the game. There is, however, one puzzle that I really didn't enjoy, and it was the old Odysseus fires his arrow through 12 rings of an axe, or of 12 axes, or rings and 12. I don't know, whatever it is. That's basically what we're doing here, and unfortunately, it's not 12 axes. I think Ubisoft forgot how to count. I think there's like 15. And I'm pretty sure he didn't bend his arrows and control them while, it's in flight. So it's a little bit different. As you can see, there's been maybe 1 or 2 small mistakes made there. And that red thing was kind of a problem. And for more reasons than one, apparently. You'll see as we go. So this is not something that was my particular strong suit. So I failed several times going through this, as you will see here. But I was determined I would not be shied away, cowed, or turned back from finishing this challenge, and I did eventually finish it. I thought I had it right here, but turns out no. And then my follow-ups were not great, just random arrows I'm letting go, ones that I'm totally missing. stuff that's crashing in, more missing, more crashing. Very frustrated. Alright. We're going to take it. We're going to look. We're going to fire. It's going to be beautiful. Nothing could possibly go wrong. This is the one. I can feel it. It's not the one, by the way, guys and gals. There is a way to increase the speed and lower the speed while your arrow is moving, which allows you to make sharper turns with lower speed and get the arrow to move further with faster, as you are all based off the stamina. The longer you are doing this, the more the stamina is draining. So I felt like I did really well here. Basically perfect. Everything came together right up into the mouth of, I can only assume, Zeus, into the fire pit. I did it, right? I did it. Hello? No? No, I didn't. I didn't do it. What? How did? But I hit everything. How did I not? This is what was going on. This is my internal monologue during this. All right, I'm gonna blow up that little weird crystal on top of your head because I don't like it and it makes me mad. It's not gonna do anything. But then I'm like, well, what did I miss? I'm gonna go run through all of these and make sure there's nothing that I missed. You know what? What? Do you think I can break this and? Oh god, there was one inside there the whole time. Alright, let me miss several more times after that. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the run of a lifetime. This took me nearly 10 minutes to get through. Just to give you guys a rough idea, this, again, not my forte. Not really in my skill set. Aiming and controlling something precisely with the controller, not super good. I can do platforming, I can do fighting, I can do a lot of things. Aiming is not one of the things I do really well. Though, I'm proud that I managed to accomplish this one. Eventually figuring out that they had tricked me while hiding one of the things behind that red blob. Did not like it, but we got it. And we got ourselves a sweet, sweet reward. Anyway, folks, I think that is going to do it for all of our puzzles. Now it's time to get into the stuff that you really want to see.
Wearing Charon's mark.
Typhon stole those too? Charon was saving up for a bridge.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for combat. So we've gone through traversal methods, we've gone through how big the world is, how just gorgeous the world is. Ubisoft is always top-notch, top-tier in world building, and this is no different. We've gone through the random puzzles and craziness that brings, and now we're into the combat proper. So this is indicative of many fights that I've come across, where you'll have some small dudes, little grunt guys. You have some like strong enemies, these big hammer dudes. A few guys in the periphery, like the harpies in the back there, that are shooting things and being a nuisance. And then every once in a while, you'll get one of these dudes that are going to come up behind me here, and it's going to be like what I call a mini boss. I don't know if that's an accurate term. They're like super strong guys. They're stronger than the strong guys. They take a bit to kill, but there's usually one or two of those in each of these groups as well. At least that's what I have found. So, we are going to go through and just kind of batter everything. We always have with us 3 different types of weapons that we can use. We have Achilles' sword for the light attacks, we have Atalanta's axe for the heavy attacks, and we have Artemis's bow for the shooting and pew-pew stuff from range. There are also several different skills that we have, and as you see on the left-hand side of me there, I do have a stamina bar. Stamina is used for a wide variety of things, from sprinting to dodging to flying, climbing, a bunch of the different traversal methods, to using the skills that we have in combat. You can get some of your stamina back by just not getting hit or by using basic attacks, but when you do get hit, I believe it drains your stamina as well. And if you're trying to get it back without hitting anything, you need to make sure you're not taking damage. That being said, there are a wide variety of skills, as I mentioned, from these spears that we launch right here, to a bird that we can launch out that will attack, harass, and interrupt our enemies. There's a shield charge, there's a lasso that we can like attach ourselves to an enemy, pull ourselves to them, and then start attacking. We also have a big old hammer slam akin to what they are using right now. And yeah, that's pretty much the skill set that we have available to us in this particular point in the game. But if these random enemies aren't enough for you, you want something more mythological and iconic, we got you covered. There's some flaming lions, there are some big old fat gorgon monsters, and maybe harpies are more your thing. Don't worry, they all go down just as easily as the basic enemies. You just need a little bit of patience, some good timing, and a little bit of luck every once in a while, and you're going to be fine. But maybe that's not enough for you. You want something bigger, something better, something stronger. Maybe you're after something like the giant Cyclops, for instance. Maybe he's your cup of tea. If not, what about maybe the three-headed Hound of Hades that guards the underworld? Cerberus. Or perhaps you want the old-school classic, the Minotaur. Maybe he's your cup of tea. Either way, it doesn't matter. They all go down just about as easily as the regular enemies. Maybe not quite. I mean, these would be what I consider the mini-bosses, or the super strong enemies. But like I said, with a little bit of patience, a little bit of timing, you can launch them to the moon, just like I did. The Cyclops is gone, Cerberus is not long for this world, Hammer Time sends him off into the distance, and finally, the Minotaur and I do battle, a quick arrow to the face, a big old combination, and we're going to finish him with our big old hammer, once again launching him so far off into the distance that he dissolves into nothing. Now, there are special encounters that happen as well. Odysseus's Wraith is constantly a nuisance. He came at me at least twice while I was playing, and it can be not too bad if you're alone when he decides to come after you, or if you happen to be fighting something, it can kind of ruin your day. Right here, I'm really struggling with the three guys and the Wraith because of the terrain, the uneven ground I kept getting stuck on. So I decided to make the fight a little bit more risky by aggroing more people, but fighting on a slightly easier terrain to traverse. And it works, but again, sometimes maybe it's just better to retreat and come back. The Wraith is going to follow you anyway. So you can fight them one-on-one versus fighting them with a bunch of ads. But, you know, sometimes you just gotta man up or woman up and just get things done, get things handled, and go after the enemy. So something I didn't mention before, if you get a perfect dodge, it does slow down time, allowing you to hop back in and get some good combos off and some damage, land some good skills without really having to risk getting hurt. It's really, really good to do, so if you get your timing down perfectly, you can really capitalize and punish enemies by dodging their attacks. There's also the ability to parry an attack, though I'm not very good at it. Here's my amazing rock throw that did nothing because I just picked it up and put it back down because I am really bad at that. I'm going to throw a hammer in there, and I'm just going to get down here to take a little bit of a breather, collect myself, and a mushroom. And just kind of reposition, waiting for the fight. Just, again, giving myself a little bit of time here. I figured we have ranged attacks and ranged abilities. We might as well use them, so I'm going to start plinking away. I took down the clone of the Wraith of Odysseus. I've dodged some of his projectiles. I've taken a few shots at him. I've really crippled the two guys that are with him. And now I'm going to go in and get my face slammed in by a hammer. And then he does a drop out of the sky and just crushes his own ally. I dodged that hammer, thankfully, take him down, and now he does his teleporting trick, where he tries to charge through me, and a sweet perfect dodge there, a big old combination attack, I'm going at him, doing some damage, and I'm putting him on notice. He's not really feeling super good. He's a little bit saddened by all of this. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. This is all well and good, special events, everything else, but we want boss fights. We don't need this stuff. We saw all these basic fights, we saw these mid-boss fights, we saw this fight. Where are the bosses? Well, there's a few. I ran into 3 bosses in my time playing the game. I actively did look for 2 of them. This one was part of the story mission that I was doing, and he was very similar to the little mid-bosses or the super strong enemies that I was talking about earlier, except turned up to like 1,000. He's a lot harder. It took me a while to get used to the pattern and to understand how to dodge different things. He doesn't just follow a straight, same speed pattern around. It took a bit, so he does a basic firing thing there, which the other guys did, but he does it like 4 more times than the other guys. So I definitely take quite a bit of damage trying to figure this guy out. But over time, I do eventually figure it out after a lot of trial, a lot of error, a lot of healing, and a lot of pain. A lot of dodging, a lot of just buying my time. So this fight probably took me about 5 minutes maybe total, maybe a little bit less than that. In the end, I am victorious, and ironically enough, I only died twice playing this in the 2.5 hours, and both of them were, well, sort of fall damage. One, I just fell off of a platform that I just somehow missed, so shameth upon me. And the second time was when I drowned because I ran out of stamina. In all the combat situations, I've managed to squeak my way on through. This is a quick jump cut forward, just so you guys don't have to watch the entirety of the boss fight. I have improved a little bit, starting to mix in some ranged attacks. I figured the boss out. I found places where I could hide behind stuff to avoid a lot of the projectiles. I found places where I could hide to avoid his laser beam. And not perfect, but my timing's gotten a little bit better. I still get slammed down around here a little bit, but my dodging's getting a little bit more on point. This is the first boss that you do fight, really, so it took me a while to really cement it and get it down. But I figured out real quick that you can hide up here, and the laser beams don't hurt you, and you can just sit there while he's stationary, spinning in circles. You can just shoot him in the head with arrows, and that is it for the big old Robo-Boss. But don't worry, there's more. Right after the Robo-Boss, I leapt on over here to Lieutenant Brontes. It is here that we challenge our first Super Cyclops of Doom. And he hits pretty hard. Not as hard as the next boss, but pretty hard. He's probably what I would call a world boss, I guess. I mean, maybe there's going to be something that ties him into a quest line, but in the current build that I was able to play and the whole situation, he was just randomly out there. I went to him, fought him, and he's guarding like a chest. So I said I'd consider him more of a world boss as opposed to like a storyline boss. Now he has several different attacks, from a ground slam to various different swipes at you. If you stay at distance from him, he'll pick up a rock and chuck it at you. He's not overly difficult, but again, this is still pretty early on into the game. I may be 45 minutes into the game. We fought one boss, a few big dudes, and it took a little bit of time, but I got there. Utilizing my bird definitely launched out a lot of these little things that you can pick up to reclaim your stamina. I used all of my healing at this point. All I have left are pomegranates, which you pick up, and then eventually you can craft them into potions, but you have to go to a specific place that I hadn't yet found in order to do that. So you can eat and use the pomegranates, but you have to hold the button and actually eat it, and they only heal one of your bars each time, whereas the potion heals a lot more. So a lot of bouncing back and forth, a lot of dodging, trying to utilize my skills to the best of my ability in the right situation, the right time. And thankfully, after a lot of dodging, a lot of getting smacked, a lot of healing, I finally find my way to victory with a big old hammer, launching them off into the wall, and my sweet, sweet victory pose. However, we're not quite done with the bosses just yet. And also do keep in mind, guys and gals, this is, again, mid to late part of the game. So while this is the first boss, second boss, and third boss that I fought, these will be much further into the game than right at the beginning. So I happened to find Lieutenant Steropes, or Steropes, or whatever the heck his name would possibly be, by happenstance, and I went over here and I'm like, oh, he doesn't seem to notice me. So I walk up to go get some good attacks on him before he stands up, and I noticed right there it said stealth attack. I did not know that was a thing, and unfortunately I didn't get a chance to actually do that. So I'm really bummed out. I wanted to see what that did. I did not get a chance to do it, but it does appear that you can sneak up on unaware enemies and actually do some bonus damage, or at least get a sneak attack, whatever that entails. Now this guy looks very similar to the guy that we just fought, but there's a lot of differences. He does a lot more swings. His ground slam is not just a ground slam, it's also a shockwave, so he fires it forward. He still picks up the rock and does that, but he hits way harder. Anything but his swipe will basically bring me down to like 1 HP from full. It's real rough. So I have to utilize a lot more dodging at perfect times, a lot more skills, and fortunately by this point I did manage to find the place to go and make more potions. So at least I had some healing available. But if you look, we had 6 potions, now we're down to 2. I did take a lot of damage, but we're going in. We actually staggered him and we're able to do a whole bunch of damage there. Taking a few shots, I just dodged that shockwave. That shockwave is deadly. It hurts real bad. I actually hit the wrong button there and threw myself up with the spears, which launched me over on top of the shockwave, which was great because it allowed me to get stuff done. Got to circle him a little bit there, got my skill off, and launched him into the universe. Now it's time to show you guys that all the challenges aren't puzzle challenges. There's also combat challenges, and this is going to be how we break off and end the video. I'm going to play through this entire challenge here, and showcase it to you guys. There'll be a few minor cuts just to take out, like running around the room, looking at various different things. But you start off, you enter the place, and there's a couple of these Gorgon guys, big old fat sluggy boys, with the big old Medusa hair coming on at you, firing fireballs and random stuff. They run at you, they do a little tail swipe, and they're not a super big threat, but when coupled with other things, they can be a little bit of a challenge. So I called my bird there, he went flying in and did some damage for me, but that is only the first of the 3 waves. And it looks like the Hammer Brothers are back. We got some more of our Gorgon Medusa type peeps. And I'm just kind of roaming around the room looking to see if there's anything we can do. We can't pull that lever, so there's nothing to do with that. I run over here with a clever idea, or at least I thought it was, and that was to run over and trigger the trap so he gets hit with the spikes. But I ate a hammer shot, then I ate a fireball, and then another hammer shot. So not really the best strategy there, but it's okay. I don't have the best view of what I'm fighting right now, but I'm okay. I think I know what I want to do. And that's get a big old hammer slam of my own on a multitude of enemies. And I did it, dodged their follow-up, got smacked in the face, charged through with the little shield bash there, and then ate another hammer slam. But we threw another one out, hitting 2 people that time. And since it's such a big AoE, I do always try to hit more than one if I can, unless there's only like 1 guy left, of course. But that's the plan. There's my little grapple and pull myself to him. And it didn't really do much, unfortunately, but I did it. I did it what? So we're going to dodge his little tail swipe, the fireball. We're going to get a double hit there, going straight in on this guy, saying, you are not going to have me. And then I get hit with the hammer. It's not great. But we're almost done with this. We dodged his swipe. We get to go in, lay the damage out. We're going to dodge the fireball, and we're going to go after the big old boy here. A big old Medusa-headed boy. Taking him down, slapping him around, making him look silly, and down he goes. See ya. And now we're into Phase 3. So there's 2 crystals that are lit up back there after defeating the first 2 waves. The 3rd wave is the final crystal that's over there. So I didn't know that at the time. I realized that after watching the video here. This time it's some smaller guys and a couple harpies coupled with all of the big old slithery boys themselves, the big old snake guys, and that's fine. The harpies can be difficult to deal with. I recommend using the heavy attack as opposed to the light attack on them, or just shooting them out of the sky with an arrow. That works pretty well most of the time. Just got to keep away from these guys. They don't move overwhelmingly fast, so you usually have a little bit of time to do stuff, but be mindful as they do also fire things at you, little eye lasers and whatnot. But we got through with the main threats there. We just took down 2 with 1 big old hammer swing. We dodged a tail whip, and we're about to put these guys on notice after I get blasted in the face with some laser eyes. You know, like you do. You know, it's all good. They're trying, I'm dodging, I'm doing pretty decently. Like, honestly, not a lot of healing had to happen. I took some damage, but not a tremendous amount. Then I'm like, hey, I want to get over there. What does this do? Turns out that spawned a whole bunch of bad guys. So there's another big group of bad guys we have to fight here. We have, and it's kind of funny, I just saw the little Gorgon dude over there stretched, and then he just laid down. He like stretched, and those little snakes all stretched, and then he just laid down. It's kind of neat. Anyhow, it looks like we have a lion, we have these 3 little fire guys, we have this big dude with the multiple shields around him with a spear, we have a hammer brother, and we have a few Gorgons in the mix. And it's going to take us a bit to get through there, but again, we're going to try always to get as many people smacked with the giant hammer as we can possibly do. And that is going to be the key to our victory, or at least that's what I'm telling you guys. So right here, boom, we hit 3 people with it, killed 1, we weakened another one, we got the lion all hurt, and we're just trying to dodge, stay alive, keep a little bit of distance, and just figure the fight out. Okay, as the battle continues and it plays out here at the end, I'm going to go ahead and do my outro, and you guys get to enjoy all the mystical, magical stuff going on your screen during it. A big shout out and a thank you to Ubisoft for allowing me not only to attend the Ubisoft Forward event and check out Immortals Fenyx Rising, formerly Gods and Monsters, but for always taking care of me in general. I really, truly appreciate it. Now, I happen to have a blast with this game, and I hope that I provided enough of a sample size for you guys to make up your own minds as to whether this is something you're going to grab right upon release, something you're going to watch a little bit further into, or at least keep your eye on it, or if it's something you're going to pass on altogether. I know not every game is for every single person, so I happen to enjoy it. Take from that what you will. So, until the very next episode, next Ford event, next whatever, I'm still waiting on Might and Magic Heroes 8, guys. I've been your host, BUMPY-MCSQUIGUMS. I want to thank you all so much for stopping by the Freak Show, and always remember, we play, we fight, we conquer.
Translation. Everyone can go home happy.